Here's the notable injuries we are tracking as we head into the weekend or get closer to the weekend. That's the big one at the top right there, guys. Jonathan Taylor coming off the ankle injury, not limited. He is full go for Jonathan Taylor, followed by Cooper Kupp is limited. Kenny Pickett with the knee is limited. Saquon Barkley coming back from the ankle is limited. Javonte Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and T. Higgins did not practice.
Yeah, so my reaction to those, and obviously it's Thursday, and there'll be more news that comes out later today, and of course Friday as well. On the Kupp being limited, it's funny, Sean McVay made a whole Will Ferrell reference, like a Ron Burgundy thing, like, hey, it says limited, but he wasn't limited. He's fine. Yeah. Javonte Williams on that list and T. Higgins are the ones that make me the most nervous. I'm not ready to be nervous yet about Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you could certainly see a scenario where Higgins and Javonte Williams miss this week.
Yeah, JT's the big one, obviously. And look, everyone's excited to have Jonathan Taylor back, as are we. I'd be a little bit concerned that one, playing the Titans, which isn't great, that's just about the worst matchup you can have. And then two, 60% of his offensive line is on the injury report. So it's not shaping up as a great week, potentially, even if he were a full go, and not expecting that he's going to be 80% of the carries straight.
I think that's a great call. And the other thing is by the way, he hasn't practiced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's been he had very little training camp. I don't think he was on a football field. I don't think we've seen him on a football field since literally last year. I'm not talking about an NFL game, but literally just practice. We're talking about practice. Like, it's all right. I mean, like, and I think about Josh Jacobs. I go back to Josh Jacobs, and like, just Josh Jacobs got massive usage. Like, whatever. Forget the fact that Raiders aren't that great. I mean, they weren't that great last year, and Josh Jacobs was awesome. And Jacobs even said when we had them on Sunday Night Football the other week, Josh Jacobs was like, yeah, the game was, felt a little too fast for me. I clearly wasn't in game. I was in shape, but I wasn't in game shape, and it took me a little while to get up to speed. And it feels like Josh Jacobs is there, but like he was bad fantasy-wise for the first couple of weeks. And so Jonathan Taylor, the fact that we haven't seen him play football, like even in a practice, capacity in any recent time, like if you have Jonathan Taylor, I know you're excited to get him back, but you've obviously made do without him through the first 4 weeks of the season. I would keep him on my bench this week if I could. Bad matchup, to your point, banged up offensive line. We just haven't seen him. We don't know if Zach Moss is going to get 10 touches. Is he getting a full workload, or is it going to be 65-35 him and Zach Moss, in his first game back?
And
too
also,
many unknowns for me.
The way that you attack Tennessee is through the air, which everyone outside of Joe Burrow has been able to do this season. So, yeah. And also think about like Nick Bosa, who came back and wasn't injured, and his first week he's on a snap count. Like, that's just how it is when you come back to the team for the first time. You're not full go. And with all the other context around, not feeling great about JT for this week.
That's the thing, Jay, right? It's also that Anthony Richardson and Zach Moss are viable rushing threats right now, where they're not looking at it going, man, we have no one. Jonathan Taylor, hopefully you're ready for 15 to 18 touches out of the gate.
Yep.
They're not desperate in that regard.
No, they certainly aren't. And Michael Pittman's been great this year. Richardson's been much more competent as a passer than I think he gets credit for, or than people thought he would be coming into the season. Josh Downs, we've had some moments from Josh Downs. So, yeah, I'm with you, Connor. Anyway.
I might be desperate, but
that's
really desperate.
I don't know. I feel like I don't have very many shares of Jonathan Taylor and this year, and the ones that I do are like best ball. So I'm actually not. If he was on a roster where I had to make start-sit decisions, and I don't have him in any of those kind of leagues, I would bench him this week.
Yeah, feeling a little bit better about
option.
The guy who edged him out for Offensive Player of the Year in 2021 in Cooper Kupp, who went through a normal practice. And he's the type of player, I think, where he doesn't need much time. He doesn't need that many snaps to be able to get you receptions and get you fantasy points. And they're also playing an Eagles team that hasn't been great as a secondary, and they're dogs in the game at home. So they probably need to throw. So I think that even if Kupp has a limited snap count, which he surely will if he plays, still think that he is viable.
If Cooper Kupp's out there, I'm starting him. It's a different scenario. Like, wide receivers are different than running backs, I feel like, in this particular case. Because, again, Jonathan Taylor needs to be volume-based. Like, there's always a chance he falls in the end zone and they want to, I could certainly see if they get close, Shane Steichen saying, let's get him into the end zone. Let's try to welcome him. Let's try to, solve some of this bad blood between him and Irsay. Bad blood, by the way, Taylor Swift song, by the way. You can never, as you guys know, these days you cannot mention Taylor Swift enough.
Yeah. Do you can sometimes think about how weird the NFL is, where you're like repairing a workplace relationship by giving someone a touchdown. Like that's just how it works. Oh, things are tough at the workplace. Let's give Jonathan Taylor a touchdown. But yeah, I agree. I think that if he is in close, one, he's probably their best option to get into the end zone, and then two, it would make sense.
I mean, just before the show, I gave Connor a cookie.
It's
kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in a great mood today.
Getting in the end zone at Lucas
down
Oil.
and out, and now I'm ready to roll for love-hate.
Yeah.
One more bit of injury news here that was not on the board because the Chargers are on the bye. Austin Ekeler, dealing with that ankle injury, stated that he expects to be back for Week 6 against the Cowboys. Jay, one of the coolest things of Austin Ekeler is that he's in the fantasy community and very vocal about where his health status is. And it feels like this bye is at a good time where he should come out of the gate ready to roll.
I think it's at a good time just for the Chargers in general, because I don't know what happened to Justin Herbert's hand, his finger, because that did not look good at all. So he gets an extra week for that. Austin Ekeler gets an extra week, and Matthew can go ahead and drop Josh Kelly.
1,000% if you haven't already. But yeah, we love Austin Ekeler. We love him as a podcaster. We love him as a fantasy football asset. We love him as an investor in fantasylife.com, which is he is on our cap table. We appreciate that. Thank you, Austin, as well. I feel like all players should have podcasts where they announce whether they're in or out.
Well, apparently there's a Sean McVay show now,
Yes.
which I didn't know about until
It's
we
the
ran
Coach
the clip
McVay
yesterday.
show.
Okay,
It's not
the
Sean
Coach McVay show.
Coach McVay show. Yeah, no, 100%.
There's a Coach Todd Bowles show as well, but just no one's watched it.
Coach Brian Dable show.
Yeah.
On local TV. I stumbled upon it the other day while waiting for hockey.
I feel like every coach has a show.
Yeah.
It's some sort of show.
They're a
He wasn't
brand
on
now.
it, though, by the way.
Oh, wasn't it?
It was the Coach Brian Dable show. I never
without
saw
Coach
Brian
Brian
Dable.
Dable?
I never saw him, which maybe these days,
Yeah,
not the
that's
best
pretty
idea.
cool.
I get it.
So.
Let's look at tonight's injuries for the Thursday Night Football report here. Good news, especially if you're Matthew Berry. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, status both active for tonight's game. Ready to roll.
Good news for the Commanders. Good news for fantasy managers that might consider starting either of them. Dotson, obviously, more likely than Samuel. Bad news for the Bears, who literally are missing everyone. They have practice squad guys going that I'm like, wait, who? Are we sure that guy's that, like, I'm going to have to text Connor being like, who is this guy?
And there's a chance that even I didn't get to him after 450 draft evaluations.
Yeah.
That's where the Bears are at.
Little nervous, Matthew. This is a real referendum game on Sam Howell. If
really
he's bad
is.
tonight and he loses, that's a huge problem for them.
Huge problem.
Yeah.
The Bears are beat up, winless, and traveling on a short week.
Yeah.
The game's in Washington tonight. That's what I'm saying. This is a game this is a must win for the Commanders. It is a must win because they've got a tougher schedule coming up. It looks better now because the Giants aren't as good as they were. Blah blah. But this is a game they need to win.
Yep.
This is a game they need to win. I agree with you. It is a referendum. I think it's a referendum on Howell, and I think it's more importantly, I think it's a referendum on Ron Rivera.
Yeah, trouble for Ron if he
Yes.
doesn't get out of this one after he handed in his
on
riverboat
Riverboat.
card by being a chicken and not going
safety
for it
Ron.
on the two.
We will talk more
Yeah,
about
if you
this show because it is the Thursday night game and not because I'm a Commanders fan later in the show.
We'll give you our best bets.
We will do that as well. So there'll be a preview up and also on, for the Thursday night game, which we'll talk about, and also on YouTube. By the way, you know who's really happy these days? YouTube commenters. I was going through it last night. They're very happy. And they're like, Barry finally got them to put the time code in. I have no credit. But anyway, I guess whoever's doing our YouTube thing, they finally put in time code, hey, at 6:52 they talked about Austin Ekeler and that kind of
Australian movies at
right,
8:55.
Of course, exactly. Penn State Blade thrown under the bus at 15:65
And 27:54.
Right, exactly, and 45:08. So that's been great. I don't know who did that, who's responsible for that, but that's very exciting. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Rotoworld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.